What's going on, Aries? And welcome to my channel, Alchemist. Justin here, and I hope you're having an amazing week so far. So, for those of you who are returning, welcome back, Soul Tribe. I appreciate your subscriptions, your likes, and shares. Your support really does mean a lot to me, and it keeps us growing. And for those of you who are new, welcome. I'm happy Higher Self has brought you here. We are in for an amazing journey. Now, the theme of this week's monthly spread is going to be love, Aries. Whether you're looking for love, I'm not sure why you're looking up there, in love, or just, maybe might be in need of some, just kind of focusing on some self-love here, Aries. This one's for you. And I do wow, just got done doing Cancer Channel, nature my problem. And just so you're all aware, this is a general reading, not a one-to-one. So take what resonates with you, leave the rest with me, and never force a reading on a situation, okay? So with all that being said, let's jump into it. Yeah, I was about to give you were about to get the chariot and friends there, Aries. But guess what? Your space has been cleansed. So it's just Aries energy all day. And the gems, we're loving it. Just good energy all around here, Aries. Now, Aries, with this spread, I'm going to be going until Higher Self says stop. We're just working with, or just going with the flow here. And just so you all know, these readings that I do, they're not gender-specific readings, so apply the energies to people as they make sense for your situations, okay? And then lastly, the decks that I'm working with. This one here that I'm shuffling is a Light Seers Tarot deck. And then the other one that I'm working with is the Anatomy of a Witch Oracle deck. And I'll include links for these decks, and other decks that I like using down in the description box below, so definitely check that out if you're interested there, Aries. But Aries, look at you, This is, I like this. Your first card here is the Devil in reverse here. Ooh, with the Four of Swords, interesting in reverse. So I feel like Aries, we may be in this situation. Let's start with if we're in or let's say, where do I want to start? I feel like maybe some of us, we may be in this thing where maybe we've just gotten over over a past relationship. Maybe there's something that could have been some toxic behaviors. It could have been something where maybe, take it as it resonates, could be you, maybe it was this person. But I find that maybe either some of us have either gotten out of a relationship with something, like maybe out of a toxic relationship, or some of us might be thinking about getting out of a toxic relationship right now. Just because I'm feeling with this Four of Swords here that we've been in this place of where maybe we've been kind of constantly on guard here as of late, haven't been able to really relax. Maybe there's been some sort of like manipulations going down, excuse me, or, this could be some sort of addiction, that maybe someone, you or this person may be going through right now. I mean, it could be both, Aries. This is a judgment-free zone, and, things happen. And maybe this is something where we're realizing that this is not working for us, that this is, wherever end of, whatever spectrum that you're at on this, I feel like that some of us, maybe this thing is starting to kind of catch up with us, that there's been where we're just kind of in our head a lot. Maybe our self-esteem hasn't been at its highest. But when we're getting through devil moments here, even and hang with me, Aries, because I know how this may sound. Even when we get in, kind of like toxic relationships like this, there are lessons in here too, and that's not to say that like you've brought this upon yourself or anything like that, Aries. There's a reason that this person has even gravitated in your realm here. There's wisdom that can potentially be acquired from this, but it's gonna start by getting yourself in a place where we're resting more, where we're taking time and getting like a mental break here. Because this, when we get into like, toxic relationships and, behaviors and whatnot, that really does weigh down on the mental here. And with where the energies is shifting here, Aries. Saturn rules Capricorn, and when I'm releasing this video, Saturn is this is the day that Saturn is entering Pisces. So things are about to change. We're getting ready to get into a new cycle here. And when we get into cycles, this is a time to reflect on what has happened up until now and what do we want to do to improve going forward. And Saturn is a hard ass. He's, where he'll provide fantastic growth. The rewards are spectacular. Saturn rules Capricorn and Aquarius, and both signs, it's about putting in that work. And this is something where if we have old things that are lowering our vibrations here, Aries, I find that where the energies are going, it may be we may be in for a rude awakening for some of us if we're staying in this thing, And I'm saying staying in this thing in the sense of like it's just toxic right now. There's no kind of healing, no even like attempts of trying to get out of this right now. If we stay in that type of energy, Aries, then it can lead to tower moments, hanged man situations, death cards, and it's just like, a lot of uncomfortable and forced transformation, as opposed to taking this time to heal up and to get out of these things that may have control of us, whether it's substances, whether it's people, whatever it is. But we're going to need to take those steps, Aries, because otherwise it's going to be a little uncomfortable. Now, maybe for some others, maybe this is someone possibly that we might be taking care of. And maybe we're at this place where they're going through the healing process right now, but maybe some of us might be feeling a little exhausted right now. Where I'm all for, if your person has, because the nice thing I will say about the devil is the devil's not there when these situations happen. The devil's not there to keep us down and can make us feel restricted. The devil's there to put the uncomfortableness in our faces, and it's just like, yo, this is the problem. Like, what are you going to do about it? Are we going to keep perpetuating this, or do we want to get where we feel relaxed again, where we can where it's not just like in our heads and just feeling crappy all the time. This is, and if our person has chosen to heal, if we're working with someone, it's just being mindful of your energies, Aries. That's all, making sure that we're showing compassion for, yes, of this person that's going through this healing, but showing compassion for yourself as well, because sometimes I feel that when in the efforts to want to help them and, making them the focus, which there's nothing wrong with that. It's keeping a balance, Aries. You have to make sure that your mental state is well too, because you can't help anybody if you're not operating at your best here. And that's not selfish. That's, if anything, it's selfless, because you realize that, like, hey, my energies aren't there to help you grow. Like, I'm feeling a little burnt out here. So if this is something that we're working, if we're working with someone, just be mindful of that. It's a process going through this. And if you're working with someone, I don't need to tell you that, but it can be a very rewarding process. But just making sure we understand our limitations here, Aries. More? Let's get some more here. That's what I said. That was a deep one starting off there, Aries. But you know what? It makes sense. We're in a new cycle here. Things are getting ready to change here. Interesting. Aries, I feel like for some, with this Knight of Cups here popping up, the Knight of Cups can be very romantic energy. He's a Knight of Cups, loves being in love, loves the idea of the relationship and the honeymoon phase, just loves all of that. But the thing I find with the Knight of Cups sometimes is that being in that, I don't want to say that being in that honeymoon phase is not sustainable, but kind of. I feel like that this is like, This Knight of Cups to me is giving like that energy that that maybe some of us fear, possibly fear the idea of being out of a relationship, or maybe, you know what, I think we're going to get some clarification on this Knight of Cups, because I'm getting a few things with this. Yeah, let's clarify this Knight of Cups, Aries, before I really kind of get into that. Interesting. Okay, more. So Aries. Okay, that makes sense. So Aries, when it comes to a relationship, sometimes we can be so in love with something or with someone that it blinds us a little bit. And I know that sounds cliche, but love can be a powerful thing sometimes, especially when I was talking about that honeymoon phase and stuff. It's like sometimes you can get so caught up in the whirlwind of it that when things go south, it gets, or it's sneaky. It works its way in there, when it's like we don't want the dust to settle. But after a while, Aries, it's not that I feel like the passion goes away, but when we're out of that kind of like dreamy phase there, if we notice that there are some red flags that might be there, Aries, now don't let love deter your action here. This is one of your cards, and this is one of your more potent of your minor cards here. This is Mars and Aries. And I feel like that if we have a person here who maybe, the type that might, maybe 1 minute is just like, giving you praise and love and whatnot, and then on the next kind of switches geared, and then the nastiness might come out. I say, Aries, if it's lowering our vibration, I feel like that this is something where we need to get some eyes on this thing here, because we can get into this place where we get stuck. And if we get, so enmeshed in this thing, it can almost get to this place of like, I don't want to say with this Four of Swords, it can be like gaslighting, but possibly, it's when we get into like toxicity and stuff, in love, it can get really tricky, where I'm all for, being just like, because believe me, I have my Venus is in Leo, and I love that phase of just like that when you first meet someone, it's all nothing but passion and romance, and just like you texting and calling all the time. That's cute and all, but after a while, once that starts to fade away, and if things are starting to get a little less cute, and we're starting to get into this place of where we're starting to get into like, because this energy gives me like almost like head games, and like almost like trying to like trap you or something like that, Aries. There's just something to be mindful of, and I'm not saying that with like everyone that comes in your realm here, but I feel like this is inviting you to be perceptive of who we allow in our space, Aries, because this is Scorpio's card. And I feel like in order for you to maintain balance, we need to make sure that we're just being mindful of, again, like the energies that are coming into our space, in the intentions, and making sure that we're not neglecting our feelings as well when we start feeling unbalanced, and maybe there's that when things don't feel right, something in your gut's telling you something's wrong, exploring that and giving that space, because that could be higher self, and like, hey, this knight in shining armor may have a little more going on with them than we think. So it's just something to be very mindful of, Aries, when we're getting into this energy, because when I think about, because like when I mentioned like the Venus sign, Venus is how we love. And when I think about Venus in Aries, that's a very passionate place. I think I just had a flashback. That's a nature of my problem. That is a very passionate love. It's beautiful. it's like being greeted with the spring, you know, like it's just, I just imagine, you know, Venus and Aries is just like, I picture definitely Knight of Cups, just flowers and romance and passion. And so, you know, to not let that cloud any shenanigans that might be going down here, Aries, okay? More. Let's see what else we got going on here. And you know, Aries, if we are getting through something, you know, I'm just thinking about this Two of Wands. If we have maybe we've just gotten out of a relationship. I almost feel like that this Two of Wands is sort of saying to just kind of like pause for a second and just kind of reflect, because sometimes, you know, in the efforts to heal, you know, we try to heal through people, you know, like kind of like rebounds and things. And that's, we want to be mindful of that, Aries. You know, it's one thing maybe if you maybe make your intentions clear, you know, it's just like, hey, I'm not just looking for something, let's just kind of keep this casual. But it's another thing that if you're trying to heal through someone, because that's not fair to them as well, you know, especially if we haven't made that known. So if we do decide, you know, I'm feeling with this energy, maybe give yourself a little bit of time if we just gotten out of something. But if love happens to come around, because here's the thing, sometimes even when we get out of stuff, if we choose to, when we choose to love ourselves, you know, if this, you know, if there was craziness going down here and we choose to protect our energies, then the universe can bring in new love, you know, and healthier love as well. But it's just making sure that if something does come around here, communicating that. It's just like, hey, where you're, you know, you're cute, I love your horse, but I'm healing right now, you know, like if you're okay with that, can we just maybe take this slow at first and then we'll just kind of see where it goes, you know. But I feel like that just something to be mindful of, Aries. You know, I feel like communication is definitely very important, you know, especially when we're going through the healing process here. Please? Okay. Let's see what's going on here. Wow, Aries, you got all your major or minor arcanas here. Yeah, Aries, you know, with these energies, because you ended up here, we got the Four of Wands came upright. But before we talk about that, which that's solid, but we got the Fool, the Six of Pentacles, and the Three of Wands in reverse. And I feel like, Aries, before we think about taking a leap of, you know, taking that leap into our next relationship, you know, or, yeah, let's start there. Before we take our leap into like our next relationship, let's make sure that we've taken the time and figured out what worked for us and what didn't work for us, because that's what these every interaction that we have, that's the purpose of them. You know, everyone we meet is an opportunity for growth and reciprocity here. And I feel like that when we take a moment and really just to kind of like really, I'm honestly getting just to kind of pause for a second before we just go jumping into something new here, because I feel like that where I don't think you're going to miss out on the one, Aries, you know, because maybe some of us think that, well, if I don't get on this thing, you know, I'll never meet I'm not going to find my person. But here's the thing, Aries. I feel like that this is not a question of like how many options are out there for you. It's more along the lines of, when are you ready? Are you ready to take this leap towards almost like towards healing yourself and like expanding on your energies here? Just because, I mean, you got the 2, 3, and 4 of Wands here. Those are all your cards. And because this is, Venus in Aries, Sun in Aries, Mars in Aries. And so I feel like when we take a moment and find our light again, Aries, I feel like that's when things are going to really start pouring in for you here, because the Four of Wands for me, this is the start of something new here. This is a new phase of life. This is this when we start taking steps towards here, that's when I find that when Knight of Cups comes around, that's when I feel like that that person that we our soulmate, and are not even just our soulmate too, Aries. This it can expand from that. It starts with maybe our partners, but then it's like our soul tribe even expands and grows as well. But I just feel like that it's, not forcing this, Aries, taking the appropriate time, and trust your intuition. When the time feels right for you to grow and for you to, maybe put yourself out there again, I feel like it's going to make sense. But this for me, if any of this has been kind of resonating with you, take this time and in Aries, let's level a little bit. Even when I'm thinking about this Devils, where yes, this could be someone else. How I mentioned this could be us in this situation. If you're healing from something, maybe you're getting over a devil moment, or whatever that looks like for you. I feel like it's making sure that you are in a good place, and really be transparent, when Knight of Cups comes around again, because they're going to appreciate that. And you might be feeling a little nervous about, let's say, for example, if we struggle with alcohol, like it may be something where you may not be comfortable saying, but I feel like it's not labeling yourself an alcoholic. It's just like, hey, I notice that alcohol affects my body this way, and I don't mind you. That's totally fine, but I personally, our relationship, it doesn't work. So just making those intentions known, I feel like is going to put you in is going to put you in a good place as well, Aries. So just that's something to be mindful of too, because maybe that's something where maybe now that I said that, maybe some of us may want to get out in a relationship, but maybe we're worried about if we're going through something, maybe we're worried about what other people may think about this past. Maybe you'll feel like they're going to label you, or that that's all they're going to see, Aries. But that's not the case. I really feel like when your soulmate comes through, there's going to be that understanding, because this is something that if this is resonating with you, this is something you were honest with. You were like, hey, full disclosure, this is something that I'm healing through right now. I gotta, I'm still working with this stuff. Are you okay with that? And depending on how you go about it, it's just like, these are the degrees that I go. I don't care to go. I don't do bars. I don't do blah blah blahs. How you feel about that? And I feel like, Aries, if we vocalize these things, make our feelings known, and let people know where your heart's at, good stuff's going to come from that. Because where your first two cards may have been in reverse, because we're just kind of getting back in this, we're getting our groove again. But once we do get our groove, you see that I feel like that love is going to come. So it's just making sure to take that time. Any more? Let's see what's going on. I thought there might have been, what? I feel like there might be a little bit more with this full energy here, Aries. Let's get a little bit more on this full energy. More? Yeah, Aries, because now we got the Two of Pentacles here. And I feel like that the Fool for me is like that seize the day, that carpe diem type of energy. But I feel like in order for us to really embrace that purity there, or to embrace that, how do I want to put that? I feel like in order to embrace that energy wholly, there has to be a balance here, Aries, in where we're at on our journeys here. If you're if you're in a place where your head and your heart aren't in alignment here right now, and there's this emphasis of just like kind of waiting for a second, which I know for your sign, I feel like maybe that's where this apprehension is like, I'm telling the initiator of the zodiac to like pause and to slow down for a little bit. So don't come at me, Aries. But I just feel like, maybe not even stopping, but just maybe even just like slowing down a little bit, just to collect yourself again, to make sure that that everything is in alignment here before we go and take that next big leap. Let's see. Yeah, more. Yeah, Aries, because it was weird. Like the fool was kind of looking at me there, but Aries, you got the Nine of Swords in reverse here, and this is when I feel like this is when the time is to move. When we're no longer in our heads about this, because the Nine of Swords in reverse is a great card, because now, where devil moments, I feel like we never really get over devil moments. It's just that we get better at working with them. You know what I mean? And I find that once we get this devil moment in place here, however however Capricorn is applying in your situation here, I feel like once we get eyes on that and really get an understanding of that, then everything is going to make sense again. Because even though I'm like, saying like, maybe slow down or pause right now, even when these cards pop up in reverse like this, that doesn't mean that the energy is just, it's not here right now, or that it's like it's never going to come. It's just like the timing doesn't feel right, but the energy is there. We're just waiting for a couple of other little pieces to just kind of light up here before we can, before we make that move. And that applies with the devil as well, Aries, because even when the devil pops up in reverse, we might be over our first, might be feeling good, we've been, maybe clean, however person for like a few months, and then temptation comes through again. The devil's sneaky like that. And it's not to keep you down, but it's just like almost like a check-in, just like, hey, does this thing still have control over you? Are you good? And if not, dope, bye. But if so, all right, we got to talk about it. Okay, we're going to sit with this some more. Come on, we're going on a journey. I hope this is making sense, Aries. It's when we get into like love and toxic behaviors and addictions and whatnot, it does get tricky anymore. It does get tricky, but I feel like that with time and taking the moments to heal, this is going to be potentially a good, I feel like a good healing month for you, Aries, if this is resonating with you. But now we're going to jump into some oracle cards here, and look at that, Aries. Bam! We got some heat. We got that fire card here, and that's what I'm talking about. This is what we've been waiting for here. This is why I was saying, take this time, because I feel like that the moment is coming, but right now, again, if this is resonating with you, the energies, we're still in the healing process. So we don't want to rush this along. It's something that we want to nurture and take our time and, and consider our feelings in this stuff here. Because if the Knight of Cups is not feeling, if he's not feeling at his best, then he's, we can't, going out and finding love, we're going to attract. Here's something to think about too, Aries. I'm just thinking about if you're maybe the person who's healing through the addiction possibly. When we're not healed from this and we're trying to find love, but we're operating in this energy here, and it may not be that it's just like you're actively in it, but if it's not been healed, that's going to permeate into whomever you encounter, Aries, and that's something we need to be mindful of, because your fire energy is I mean, we got to be mindful with all the energies, but fire energy it's hot and it's aggressive, and it can be where you just, the flames can get out of control if we get too far down in this. And Aries, this is something too where this just kind of crossed my mind. If we're in this place where we may feel defined by our relationships, because sometimes I feel like, or at least these energies are kind of getting, maybe we've been where it's been like relationship after relationship after relationship. We're just like seeking for love, almost like desperately looking for love. If that's something that we're doing as well, I would say sit with that, Aries, because the love starts here. That's where I feel like if we're something where we're like kind of chasing love right now, but like just like to be in love for love's sake, I hope that's making sense. I feel like that it's about putting that love here, Aries, and putting that fire there first. Because in order for, if we're looking for someone to make us whole, Aries, that gets in a weird realm, because we're already whole. We have all of that we need right here. The nice thing with a soulmate and as a partner is just like, we're both working on being whole, and we want to share this energy together. I'm not expecting this person to fill up my cups. I'm filling up my cups, and then maybe along the lines, that's not to say that we don't help each other along the way, but it's like to put that pressure, like I need this person in order to help me. That's a lot. That's a lot to put on a person, and that could be something. When I ask, to check your chart, that could be something where maybe some of us have a lot of high, seventh house placements, or maybe strong Libra placements. Because that has to deal with relationships and whatnots. And if you can get eyes on that, then that can make. I know someone who has. They have a stellium in, it's all up in the seventh house. I want to say their sun, their moon, and then like two other close planets are all up in the seventh house. And how they operate is relationships are very important to them, but almost to the place of like it's crippling if they're not in one. So that's something, and they're working on that, of course. But it's, before getting eyes on it, it can just seem like a lot. So, that's where I say, checking your chart, that all matters. Finding out where your Venus placement is, it all ties in together. Let's see what other oracle stuff we got here for you. Yeah, Aries. You got the birth card in reverse here anymore? Okay, let's switch back over here, Aries. So, with this birth card here, the birth card, this is, I feel like that this is, and hang with me, like I'm not a doctor. I was gonna say, like, just like you can't force birth, which I know you can't induce labor, but hang with me. I'm reading tarot. I'm not delivering babies. I say this is something where I feel like you can't force this, Aries. This healing. This is something that it needs to happen naturally, and it's going to be one of those. It's like when will love come in if we're looking for it? It'll come in once we start pouring love into ourselves. And I know how that sounds, but that's how it works, Aries. When we really start focusing here, because how can we love someone if we don't know how to love ourselves, if we haven't put the practice there? That's a very important question. We get love so pushed in our face. Knight of Cups are always in our face all the time, but there's not a lot of talk of like, of like self-care and self-love and all of that. And I find that even if we're in a relationship, when I was talking about that, maybe that, because this could be this Knight of Cups devil thing. Now the word, thanks, Sarah. So the word come to, it could be like a codependence type of thing. If we find ourselves in something like that, this is something where I find, this is a good time to focus within, because we can even do this in relationships. It's just like, vocalizing this. It's just like, hey, I noticed where maybe I'm like leaning a little bit into too much into this, and I need to, not that I'm pushing you away, but I need to find myself in this relationship so that I can be more present here. You know what I mean, Aries? And I do. This is kind of a kind of complex kind of going on here, but I hope that this is making sense, because I just feel like that it's going to be one of those things with time. Things are going to start heating back up for you again. I feel like the love is going to start pouring back in, but I feel like that it's got to start here, and just to do a check-in and just see where we're at in life, and then I just feel like that it's things are going to start looking up. So I think I'm going to leave that there, Aries. That was kind of I wanted to end a little bit stronger, but this was an interesting reading. It's just like, it feels very not Aries-like, in the sense of just like, I feel like there's a lot of, possibly some head stuff going right down, like maybe a little hesitancy, trying to find that heat. I feel like we may be trying to just force it a little bit, maybe we're trying to, can't put, I'm not quite sure, Aries, so I'm not gonna force it, but I'm gonna take a note from I'm not gonna force it. So if something resonated with the Aries, give that a thumbs up and share this if we know someone who's kind of caught up in something, because this was really kind of, I feel like we were just sort of all over the place here. So if we know someone who might be in some kind of weirdness right now, maybe there's just a lot going down, let's share this with them, absolutely. And then if you haven't already, subscribe and then hit that bell button. You get notified when I release videos each week. And then I am, as far as social media goes, this could be, maybe some of us, insight timer. That's how I'm social media. I'm still on Facebook, so you can follow me on Facebook. I'm posting stuff like sort of, it's insight timer. If we're working through any kind of addiction or weird relationship or whatever, they have different courses and stuff. I see they do different meditations. I remember they were doing weekly stuff as far as building healthy boundaries. It's a really cool space. It's an app that I've been working with for years. We're not in kind of partnership or anything. It's just any sort of tools to kind of help us get balanced again, and hey, help you find that fire again. But I created a group on there called Zodiac's Raising the Vibration. And it's just a space to just, drop some positive affirmations, your own, or maybe something you come across, reading or walking or something. Or if you have any enlightening messages or, thoughtful messages or something, just little tidbits to just raise the vibration, drop a nugget there and bounce, take some nuggets with you, whatever. Just a safe space to just kind of raise the vibration. And again, that's Zodiac's Raising the Vibration. I'm figuring out how to get them on the other platforms like Instagram and YouTube. So stay tuned for that. But the group is up and running. So if you have the app or want to check it out, it's at your disposal, Aries. And then lastly, if you have any Cancer in your placements, or I hope you're not dealing with a Cancer, but come on over. And you know what? If you are, come on over to the Chariot and Friends, because we'll get that Cancer balanced out, because maybe they just need to get synced up with the moon here, Aries. But yeah, it's come check out the Chariot and Friends if you have any Cancer placements, whatever. It's a good old time. We discuss lunar shenanigans, talk about boundaries sometimes. Cancer's channel's been actually getting a little deep here recently. I dig it. But, all that housekeeping, Aries, down in the description box below. But let me get you a surprise card here so I can get you out of here. Interesting. You got the Strength card in reverse here, Aries. And then lastly, lunar shenanigans. We got the full moon here. Oh, whoo. You didn't see that, but it's fine. Aries, let's talk about the Strength card in reverse here first. Because this Strength card for me, I feel like this is a time to build up that confidence, to build up, if we haven't been feeling that, if we've been feeling kind of out of our element and not been feeling ourselves, this is the time to work on that, to really start doing some some inner development here, because the full moon can represent manifestation, and it's a time of celebration, and it is a time of reflection. And this is about seeing, what, being with that, what are some ways that maybe that we brought it, and what are some ways that we're feeling like that we can improve, or areas that we want to grow here. And I find that when you put in that time for that, Aries, things are going to start looking up for you. But yeah, this is an interesting time for you. I feel like the focus may be a little more towards you during this time, so just pay attention to that, okay? But I think I'm gonna leave that there. So stay safe out there, and with all this, Aries, be mindful, and if we're having trouble raising the vibration, this is me putting your arm around me, and we're gonna raise that vibration together there, Aries. That's love too, that's, maybe it's, instead of finding romantic love, maybe we can do some kind of something communal, do like get into like maybe doing some volunteering or something, Aries. But yeah, stay safe out there, keep raising that vibration, and I will catch you on the next one later.